All-Star slash Battle Royale games. These type of games need no introduction, yet I'm still going to give one to all y'all non-gamers. These sort of games are basically where there's the set of characters that you can choose from in which you would use to fight other characters. Your enemies would either be bots or players. A sort of good example of these types of games is the very iconic and well-known Nintendo game that managed to sort of branch out into this sort of franchise, Super Smash Bros. The main reason why this game was so popular and managed to branch out into 5 games was the fact that there were many different game companies working on this game, along with the fact that the game would take characters from other Nintendo games and put it in Smash Bros. As playable characters along with some locations and maps. As a matter of fact, the game was so popular that there were even some attempts to sort of copy slash get inspired on what Nintendo did in their sort of own version. So all y'all know, Multiverse, this new hit all-star game that literally somehow managed to get the rights to a shit ton of characters and locations that have come from both TV show, movies, and video games, is one of the most popular games right now. Like, look at these reviews. And not to mention, I cannot stop playing this game. The mechanics and the overall theme of this game is nothing special, like, oh look, it's a all-star game royale thing. The only thing that makes this game rather different than the other all-star games is the fact that the playable characters come from a variety of different shows, video games, and other form of entertainment. And I mean, trying to get the rights to these characters must have been hell, or so you would think. The team that made this game is called Player First Game. This is a fairly small team. I think there's about 10 or 11 devs in the company, and this is actually the company's first game, so honestly, good for them. And it turns out the publishers for this game is actually Warner Brothers. Yeah, the Warner Brothers. The company that literally owns the rights to most of my childhood TV shows and movies that I watched. Now, if I'm being honest, I was a bit skeptical of playing this game just cause there's been this increase of Battle Royale slash All-Star games these past few years. Like most recently, the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, along with a few others, no one really cared for it as much. I mean, the only All-Star game that managed to keep its relevance in the gaming world without this sort of sequel or what's not has to be Brawlhalla. I mean, the game came out in 2014 and it's still more relevant than these other games. Now, some of these all-star games were pretty fun for like a week, and others were just hot garbage. But at the same time, these games were free to play, and it looks like in Multiverse's cases, the game is going to bring in new characters every month or so, or in every major update. I mean, I can play Morty from Rick and Morty. That's all I need. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Why am I talking about all-star games? Well, today in this video, I'm not here to talk about the success of Multiverse, no. I'm here to talk about an all-star slash battle royale game that essentially was a sort of version of Super Smash Bros. Except made and published by a rival company. And I'm pretty sure that most of the kids watching this video have never even heard of the game, or at least forgotten about it. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into the video. Now, most kids and teens today either have one of these 3 things: a Xbox no matter what version, a Nintendo Switch, a PS4, or a PC. Now, the game that I'm talking about came out for consoles, specifically the PlayStation. Now, like I said before, most gamer kids have a sort of console, one of these consoles is a PlayStation. Now, if you only played on PlayStation, you should 1, not call yourself a real gamer, and 2, save up some money for a PC, because if you play a lot of online games, then you are an insane person and need help right immediately. Also, if you can't save up money for a PC, then I get it, we've all been there. But I mean, come on man, $12 a month just to play games like Overwatch and Rust? While we're on the topic, why did it take like 5 years just to get Rust onto consoles, only for people not to buy it? Now, if you've been playing PlayStation for a while, you're probably wondering what is this all-star slash battle royale game I'm talking about. You probably never heard about it. Well, to all you late Gen Z kids, step aside because this video is dedicated to all my early class and middle class Gen Z gamers who played on the PlayStation, because the game that I'm talking about was exclusively for the PlayStation 3. And also the PlayStation Vita, but I never knew a single person who had a PlayStation Vita. It's basically like a plus version of the PSP, and if you don't know what that is, then I'm just an old person, I guess. The game was called PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Amazing name, by the way. Thank you for specifying this game is only for PlayStation. Now, I have not been on the PlayStation 3 in a hot minute. As a matter of fact, there's no real reason anyone who has a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 3 should be on a PlayStation 3 unless you're playing a game for the feel of nostalgic value. That, and also to watch Spider-Man 1 and 2 that you bought on the PlayStation Store years ago. Don't judge, I know, not a single person in this day and age should purchase any sort of film from an online console store. Trust me. Now, the only real all-star game that was actually fun, good, and laid out was Smash Bros. And at the time, the latest game in the Smash Bros. Franchise was Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, this game topped the other Smash Bros. Games because it had not only been 7 years since the last Smash Bros. Game release, but also this one had a shit ton of new characters along with a actual polished story mode, cinematics and all. This game, or rather franchise, was one of the pillar games for Nintendo and one of the best all-star games out there. And at the time, no other game that had the similar concept of an all-star game came close to Smash Bros. Since, like I said, the game would take the rights to other characters that were for Nintendo as playable characters. Or so you would think. The year was 2012, and Superbot Entertainment along with Bluepoint Games released the game PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale to the public as an exclusive PlayStation game for the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita. Now, Superbot Entertainment had only made this game as their first game, unlike the other game company devs, Bluepoint Games, who had actually worked on some other previous titles like the God of War Collection and the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus Collection, two big-time PlayStation franchises. Now, what's new to me is that originally the game development process was supposed to be in the hands of Naughty Dog, who are actually the developers of games like Uncharted, The Last of Us 2, and a few others. Which is kind of crazy because I can only imagine what the game would feel and look like if it was in the hands of one of my favorite game development companies. Like, I grew up on the Uncharted franchise that built my childhood. But I guess Sony, who was publishing the game, decided to hand it off to these devs instead. Don't really know why, but whatever. The development time it took to fully finish the game was about 3 years, meaning the production of which the game started was around 2009. Now, this game was not only for PlayStation 3 but also for PS Vita, and for any of you newbies who don't know what a PS Vita is, it's basically like a Nintendo Switch, except it's for PlayStation, had a lot less games, and you could actually put it in your pocket. You could try and put a Nintendo Switch in your pocket if you really tried, but I wouldn't suggest it. Anyway, when the game first released to the public for the first time, it got some pretty mixed reviews, mostly negative. Which, if you think about it, is pretty weird, right? I mean, a game where you could play characters from other PlayStation games along with fight them as well? That sounds like a really good and fun idea. Well, at the time, PlayStation All-Star looked more like a Smash Bros. Copy, and the only changes being that the game would take specifically to PlayStation culture rather than Nintendo. Now, marketing-wise, the game did pretty well. I mean, they did a bunch of betas where people were able to test out the game before it's released, and they would even show the game in showcases and even do a Robot Chicken trailer, which seemed pretty weird, but it turned out okay. Yet the game still got pretty bad to okay reviews, and sometimes people even call this game a flop. Why was this? What was the reason? Well, in order to answer that question, we have to take a much more deeper dive into what the game was actually like. Now, gameplay wise, PlayStation All-Star did pretty good. The characters that you would choose would either be up-to-date characters that came from popular games at the time, like Nathan Drake from Uncharted, Cole McGrath from the Infamous games, along with some much older characters from older games that came out for the PlayStation 1 and 2, like Sly Cooper from the Sly Cooper games and Kratos from God of War. Not to mention there were like 20 other playable characters as well. There was nothing crazy about the actual mechanics of the game along with the characters' move, but one thing I liked was the maps, because like I said before, the game would not only take characters but map locations that came from other PlayStation games, and a lot of the maps you could pick from were really iconic places, like this one map from the Uncharted 3 game. You know, the iconic plane scene where you fight and all of a sudden in the back of the plane opens, a shit ton of stuff starts to fall off, like in the game. Like that scene in the game was insane. It was so insane that they added that scene into PlayStation All-Stars. Other than that, the game was just your standalone All-Star game, nothing really special. But it was still fun to play, for me and a handful of other people. Now, I couldn't remember personally why people were saying this game was bad. I mean, it's been years since I last played the game. So I went to a certified website where people seriously discuss their problems with this game, Reddit. Now, one of the reasons why this game got mixed reviews was the fact that there were some bugs in the games, and even after some updates, these bugs were still not fixed. This is a pretty basic baseline for games to flop. You can be working on a game for years and show up as many trailers as you want, but when it comes time for people to actually play your game, all they're really going to see is the bugs. And if you're not listening to what the community has to say, the game you worked so hard will end up just being a flop and later on forgotten. Another reason to why this game got mixed reviews was the fact that the game would present characters that haven't even been created yet, instead of just using created ones that have been created at the time, like Crash Bandicoot or something like that. Now, I was still relatively new to the whole PlayStation experience, and there were only a handful of games that I owned, along with some characters that I've heard about in games like Kratos from God of War. So this was not really an issue for me at the time when playing this game. It was more so of a, hey, look, this is a fun, cool looking game with some pretty neat looking characters. And that was pretty much it. That was pretty much the mindset I went into when I was playing this game. There was also the fact that the game did not really focus on combos, even though that's what it's supposed to do. Some characters had easier paths to kill other characters and made the game much less fun, because these characters are pretty much powerful than any of the others. Like, the characters aren't equal to each other, which kind of sucks. And there was also not enough content in the game to really be playing it for more than 1 to 2 weeks. After that, you went from playing the game every few months to playing once or twice a year to pretty much not playing it at all. There was a DLC pack that they added with more characters, but it wasn't really much. The game did have a story mode, but it was not really good either. Each character in the game had their own little section to tell their story as you played the game, and each character's story mode would take around 30 to 35 minutes long. And the story mode was basically like a tournament style mode, where every round you would just face another playable character from the roster. And even when you were done the story mode, you didn't really feel fulfilled, and you really see the story mode as a waste of time. Now, keep in mind, it took Smash Bros. About 2 games before they actually had a good story mode for their game. So now looking back at PlayStation All-Star, I can't really be mad or annoyed per se. But just to give a summary of the story, let me read this line that Wikipedia wrote down. Rumors begin circulating that an unknown entity is seeking the strongest warriors in all the worlds, gathering many powerful opponents to prove itself superior. Heroes and villains from many worlds begin searching for this new threat, either seeking to protect their world or in pursue fortune. After crossing many worlds and defeating those that encounter along their way, the player character encounters the source of the challenge, Polygon Man, who attacks them. After Polygon Man is defeated, the victor absorbs his power and returns to their world, where they decide how to use their newfound power. This is literally Smash Bros. Oh my god. Like, the Polygon Man, which is a terrible name for a boss, is basically the master hand from Smash Bros. Along with them of heroes and villains trying to protect their world from a new threat, it's basically Smash Bros. It's Smash Bros. I will say though, the intro for the game is really, really good. Like, it's memorable. But yeah, that's pretty much the game, and these were the reasons why this game didn't really blow up, but rather flopped around its time. There were around 1 million of the copies of the game sold, which, if you think about it, is not really a lot of copies. Like, don't get me wrong, 1 million copies of the game sold is a lot, but in the instance where this game was developed for the PlayStation 3, and it was made by companies that had other experience working on other triple title games, 1 million copies is not even a slice on a pie. If it had 5, 6, even 7 million copies sold, that would be much more better. And I think the creator of the game even noticed the copies sold were way too little for them to continue the game, and that's why they just ended it there. No sequel, no nothing. The game ended up going silent, and that was that for the PlayStation All-Stars. It was kind of sad for this game to just be forgotten, but you can't really do much. It's just one of those instances where the game is a hit or miss, and I guess in this case, around the time period it was released, it was a miss. Or so you would think. Now fast forward 8 years later, the time is 2020, the world's on fire, and all you can really do is play games, watch YouTube, or go outside without a mask, and go to an anti-mask protest, or whatever white Karens do nowadays. But I don't even know why, but quite a bit of people started talking about the game, saying how they missed it, and they really wish there would have been a sequel to the game. Now, to be honest, if the game would have released around this time and the problems to the original game was solved, like the bugs and the whole problem with characters, then it would have been a banger. It probably would have still been called the Smash Bros. Ripoff, but then again, any gaming company that tries to make an all-star that's even similar to Smash Bros. Will be called a ripoff. There's even a few people calling Multiverse a Smash Bros ripoff just for some similarities. To really summarize this video, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale is a good game, but it just came out at a bad time. I guess you could say the game came out at the wrong place at the wrong time. It really sucks because the game had so much potential, and if the devs kept working on the game, it would have been really good, like top notch. Honestly, it probably wouldn't even be better than Multiverse. Now, if you were to somehow find and purchase the game for the PlayStation 3 nowadays, you would be unable to play online with other players due to the fact that the server shut down, so the only real way you can play the game was with someone else in the same room with you or with bots. The fact that the online servers are down kinda sucked, and you can't really play with other people around the world who either have a first time experience of the game or is a long runner, but other than the fact you can't play online, the game is still pretty good. But yeah, that's the video, guys. I didn't really have a reason for making this video other than the fact that I wanted to talk about it for nostalgic reasons. I had a lot of fun playing this game and I kind of miss it. But that's the video, guys. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.